residential sector in the affordable space is going to be a huge boost going forward. Yeah, so that's how I feel, the future of real estate is.
Very good. So Shiva, what is the government's thinking on providing industry status to real estate sector when film industry has already been given?
Ram, with your dress and your ponytail, you really sound like a quiz master to me now.
I've acted in a film too.
That's great. So that's why the question on film industry. See, the correlation between film and real estate, I was surprised when somebody asked me this question when you shared it to us. So I think a lot of money is involved both in real estate and in the film industry. If my memory goes right, I think in 1998 is when the film industry was accorded industry status. We are still not given industry status. For many of us who don't know what an industry status is, both the center and the state come together in formulating policies in terms of a certain subject. For example, affordable housing was given industry status in 2018. The logistics sector was given industry status at that point in time. What happens when the industry status is accorded to real estate? What happens? One, today we are not recognized. So the recognition comes from three areas. One is your licenses are given very easily. You have stamp duty cuts, you have tariff cuts, all this happens. The RBI recognizes you. Today, see, what happens is there's a last mileage funding happens. There's no low cost funding. So low cost funding will happen when real estate is recognized as an industry. Then there's a lot of transparency that comes. As a broker, you'll get a lot of recognition when you go to the market. The industry is thriving because there's no money there. They can go to the RBI will give them a rent cut or a rate cut or whatever. That happens. That's why we are looking at it. Now, the film industry, why film industry was given the industry status, you must understand. Mumbai, where Swapnil comes from, was a spot for politics, underworld and cinema. Mumbai dominated this. So if you see, the contestation between politics, underworld and cinema drove the then government to give an industry status in 1998. And in 2000, the Industrial Development Bank, the IDBI, recognized the cinema industry as an industry, and they started funding them the cameras, all that at low cost. That is one. And always, if you see, if you read Brian Shoesmith and I think Macaulay, these are guys who are from Australia, who have researched on the film industry. They have said that a lot of money from real estate and underworld was going into Indian cinema, which had to be organized. That's the reason the government thought of it, put a lot of brain behind it, and gave it the industry status. We are not being given industry status because they believe that the non-performing assets of the real estate industry will be an argument. That's the argument that they hold. But we have represented, our thought process runs that we are only a 2% non-performing asset industry. It's only 2%. So I think it's high time the industry, real estate is recognized as an industry. Every budget this is spoken about. I think at least in the next year, we should pray and the government should hear to our prayers that we get the industry status, because it was something that's very, very important. I've given you a brief of why this is being looked at, but when, I don't know. Thanks.
We'll all look forward for this to happen at the earliest. So I think with stalwarts like you, it's going to be happening. So Nazir, real estate market way forward in Chennai and its suburbs.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Ram. As you all aware, after pandemic, it's slowly back to normal. So when it comes to commercial, re-entry to workplace, it's a gradual process. Actually, work from culture now, I think, is going to change sooner than later. And moreover, government of Tamil Nadu, I think from September 1st onwards, they announced there is 100% employee can be a part of this office environment. So hope for the best betterment as far as commercial is concerned. And when it comes to retail, it's all, always the demand is there in major areas like Central Chennai as well as South Chennai. The demand is there always. And when it comes to residential, it's a commendable recovery from the year, from the last pandemic. Thanks to there is low interest rate offered by the bank. But one point, I mean, when it comes to Tamil Nadu, there is the stamp duty still on the higher side. When it comes to compare with Bangalore, our nearby city, it's only 7%. Where here we are in 11%. I think from Kadai they insisted for, the reduction in stamp duty. If this is going to be happen, I'm sure there will be a huge advantage for the residential market boom. And moreover, from central government, they have reduced the GST rate for the affordable housing, which is a good sign. Actually, earlier it was 5%, now it comes to 1%. I think so, 1%. So it is our suburban, already in a couple of, down south, in GST road particularly, one of the premium developer, they announced the, affordable housing. Within a span of 7 days, they sold 200 plus units. I think no one expected, I think everyone agreed. No one expected. 200 plus units and sold. Of course, it's a UAE only, but still, maybe more than 70% conversion will be there. There is no doubt about it. And same time, on the other side of, Chennai, west part of Chennai, again, there are a couple of leading builders. They offered, premium, it's across the table. After this pandemic, they reduced nearly 5 to 10% on the pricing factor. For affordable housing, I think it is a good sign again. So when it comes to layout, some of, you would have seen the paper last 10 to 20 days. There are full page advertisement from center of attraction. I think all you would have seen.
I think a good score for plotted development.
It's a major breakthrough for the plotted development, especially in South Chennai, East Coast Road, where you have to appreciate the developer and those who are into the development, plotted development developers. The thing is, for the ECR, there is a restriction, CRZ zone, as well as aquifer zone. So 0.8% only allowed to construct. So those who wants to buy apartment will not be possible. From builder point of view also will not be possible. The same time, villa also will not be viable for the developer. So, and if someone, the middle segment people wants to invest in particular segment, getting a plot, one ground plot is not easy. So the developer had they've done the homework very neatly. So they're able to convert it into plot the couple of acres into plot within a week, I think so. They sold everything.
I think the response has been good and
huge response. Actually, they sold everything with a price tag of 2 crores in ECR before Neelangarai. I'm sure everybody will go for it. Actually.
Yeah,
Vice versa, in the other side of Chennai, west part of Chennai, again near Thiruvirkadu, they have sold more than 150,000 square feet. It's affordable, plotted development. So which is all good sign, hope for the best in the coming years. From association point of view, I think we have to educate ourselves, adopt the networking. That is the key point. Thank you.
Tarun, what is the outlook for real estate sector when India is getting up for a US 5 trillion economy? Added with that, international market and how to create opportunities with NRI investors. I'm giving you a little larger, heavier question, so I think...
These are a lot of questions in one. So I'll first talk about the international opportunities for us. So just some numbers that, NRIs this year, only from the US, are expected to invest about $13.1 billion in Indian real estate, which in rupees is about 97,000 crores. So NRIs only in one country wanting to invest in their homeland, 97,000 crores. So the opportunity is immense. Similarly, there's another opportunity. A lot of Indians now are investing abroad as well. So in 2017-18, Indians invested about $7.8 billion in the US real estate market, which is 57,000 crores. So it is not only about tapping the NRIs, it's also about tapping your clients in India who are investing in places like the Middle East, especially Dubai, or in Singapore, Southeast Asia, or the US markets. Here the laws are pretty simple as compared to the Indian real estate laws. So that is a number about the opportunities available. Now, how do you go about it? Basically, a multitude of things have to be done. A lot of earlier, very sad to say, but a lot of developers and realtors, they have gone abroad and given absolutely fraud properties to their clients, NRI clients. So that trust is somewhere broken. I mean, the possession was supposed to be given in 3 years. For 10 years, they have not got the possession. They had taken a home loan, they are paying interest on that, but the builder is not building that. That is why this RERA came into picture, these NCLT meetings are happening, but that trust somewhere is broken. So it's our collective responsibility, not only for realtors, not only for NAR India, but even CREDAI and NAREDCO, to rebuild that trust with these guys. So whenever you talk to NRIs, please be very specific, and they are pretty smart. Now because of this technology, they have access to everything. So we have to develop that trust by giving them the correct, true picture. Since morning, I've already met 3-4 of APPCC members, and all of them are very active in the NRI market. So that's a great sign for your association. So develop that trust, use tools. Now, hardly realtors in India use tools like virtual reality. Now, what happens is, even if you quote a unit to someone in US, whenever he comes to India, he will think about buying it or seeing it, because seeing is believing, or he'll depute someone in his relatives to come and see. But if we use technology like virtual reality to show them the house today and pitch it to them, so that maybe there are chances that those decisions can be taken. NAR India over the last 2-3 years have signed up a lot of bilateral agreements in the US with associations in California, in New York, in Raleigh, in Chicago area. Why I'm talking about these areas? Because there's a sizable Indian population living there. A lot of those Indians invest in homeland in India, and a lot of people are moving to such places from India. Like Raleigh itself, 2 of my clients have moved. One has moved to, 2 of them have moved to Raleigh, and 1 of them has moved to New York. So these are opportunities which you can catch on. So those who are not International Realtor members of NAR US, I'll request them to please sign up for that. They charge $100 per year and then $75 thereafter. But the kind of resources which comes, the kind of connects which come, it is absolutely priceless. So that also you must do. Use technology, as Swapnil covered it. Last night we had a webinar with Team Smart from Mumbai, and one young Turk came and he spoke about PropTech. So we all as realtors need to embrace that as well. So immense opportunities, and the only way to go is the business volumes can go to a crazy level. There's a lot to cover in that, so maybe in case you have any queries, one-to-one we can discuss that. I'll not waste the time of everyone here. But international, it's very, very exciting. A lot of them want to invest back in India. A lot of Indians want to invest in the US. We as realtors have a global view, because the developer will only sell his property what he has. But we as realtors can sell, anywhere and everywhere. And even if you want to have a query for a market which is not yours, please use the NAR India network to close that lead. Don't lose leads just because you don't operate in that market. You have your fellow realtors in all parts of the country. We are 50,000 strong, so please use that network. Thank you.
We are planning for a program for NRI investors to educate our members here. So we are planning for an event or a Zoom program for our members here regarding NRI investors. So we would want you to be part of it too. So we will, so we can have a brief on that too.
You want me to cover the markets or later about the?
Yeah, I want you to cover about the markets too.
So I had some figures, but Swapnil has already used them. In 2019, we were only $1.2 billion in real estate. And by 2030, it is a 1 trillion real estate market, the Indian real estate market. I feel the Indian real estate market has barely scratched the surface till now because there was so much opaqueness, gray areas, lack of laws, lack of teeth. So a lot of people burned their fingers. If those who deal in the stock market has two phases. Before 92, when SEBI was not there, and post 92, when SEBI was introduced and the laws came in. The market has gone up, I don't know how many X times in stock market volumes. Similarly is with the real estate market. Before 2016, after 2016. Before RERA, post RERA. I think RERA is doing a wonderful job. They have just started. We have to give them some time. But they are, they are tightening up all the loose ends. So a lot of people will come into this real estate sector to invest. India is blessed with a very young population. So in abroad, you will see that the elderlies buy real estate, but in India, a lot of youngsters buy. So I feel we have barely scratched the surface. There's a lot of potential for housing sector to grow because now we are having a historical low loans of at 6.7% in India. I think 4 years back it was around 9 to 10%. So the cost of lending has gone down. Our incomes have gone up, whereas the property prices have not really gone up in the last 4-5 years. So affordability has increased. So I feel there's a lot of potential in the Indian estate market, not only in housing, warehousing. Swapnil mentioned crazy numbers are happening in warehousing, not only in areas like Bhiwandi and Manesar in Gurgaon, but even in Chennai. A lot of traction is happening. Strata investments, those commercial real estate investments where you can't buy on your own because they are large sizes. Strata companies have come in who are taking the asset and selling strata sales. That's a great potential vertical for you to pitch it to your clients. REITs is something which is very exciting. It should reach $650 billion by 2025. But then as realtors, we don't really make any money in that. REITs will pick up a fully rented out office space. But wait, how do we make money in that? Because they will sell it through the SEBI listing platform. So as realtors, you really don't make much money. But strata, yes, you can make money. Housing, retail and office spaces are going through a lean patch because of the pandemic. But we can see green shoots in office leasing in Delhi NCR at least. I'm not sure about this Chennai part. But in Delhi NCR, leases have started to again getting signed. Hopefully, if the third phase does not come, I think by November, December, most companies will want their team members to get back to work in physical spaces. So again, that traction will happen. So tighten up your belt, scale up, join courses where you need brushing up like valuation and all. I believe we are having the next 10 years is a golden period for Indian real estate sector, and those who are smart will make the most of it. Thank you.
Thank you. So brand is always an important part for any product or any person or any industry. So Sumant, how much of brand building is important for being a successful realtor?
If you really see the difference between real success and success is brand. So how many, I would like to involve the audience also on this, in this special in this
very
topic.
important.
I would want at least the audience to give me at least 5 brands in real estate broking sector. Give me 5 names actually if you know of something. Okay, and JLL CBRE next. Okay, another. Okay, so why their brands? Why not us? JLL started, okay, sometime back, right, 100 years ago or 80 years ago, 90 years ago, so whatever it is. They're brands because they had a vision. A brand reflects the personality of the company. So as we sit here, we dress reflects our personality, a brand reflects the personality of the company. So it talks about the vision of the company, it talks about the vision of the founder. So it's a personality. Basically, it's the one actually which gives trust, confidence to the customer to buy property. For example, there are a lot of brands in mobiles. Okay, so Apple is an aspirational product. Rest all see people who can't afford Apple may buy another product. Okay, which probably could suit their budget. But the real aspiration of any mobile user is Apple. So a brand reflects the aspiration of every buyer. So if we really, I think that's what differentiates us from the rest. We all actually complain, okay, that this guy is taking away our business, this guy is taking our business, because that's happening because they built that brand. Now, so we may actually complain saying that means it takes a lot of time. It doesn't take much time. So you can always build your brand by showcasing your learnings from this industry. Okay, you can write blogs. Okay, so you should actually you should do things, okay, which would reflect your personality, because the client. There's so much competition, and we are got carried away by the crowd. Okay, so we are see in every market there are at least about 10 to 25,000 brokers, but only few are known. They're known because actually they built a reputation. So, and the reputation is again carried forward. So through different mediums. So they've gone beyond small circles. So, and you need to use all the platforms to build your personality and also to promote your personality. So, and in today's times, these are all difficult times because there's too much competition. I'd like to tell you something very interesting, which I realized, okay, in the recent past. When I started my career, I was 23 when I started the real estate career. So I had the hunger, I had the energy, and they were elderly people, okay, so were established in that market. I don't think even 95% of them are even existing in this business, because the younger ones grabbed, because people are not using technology at that point of time. I think people are using the classifieds, using the local mediums actually to promote a property. Then the next generation has come in, okay, they used Magic Breaks, 99 Acres, before that there were other portals. When people started using those platforms, people who could not use a computer actually were kicked out of the market. Now there's another breed coming in now. The youngsters, okay, what the early 20s, okay, so who have that hunger again, so who are thinking differently. So for us to sustain, okay, beyond this, we need to think like a 25-year-old now. We need to reinvent ourselves now. So there's never too late for anything. So I think what we need to, I think probably we can start off, actually by evaluating ourselves, repositioning ourselves. I recently have seen, recently when we're trying to sell some